So hey y'all, I'm back with another video. So tonight's video is yet again another Chioma Chats video podcast edition. So by the title, we're going to be doing another compilation video. I haven't done one of these in a while. Basically, this is a segment on my channel where I take 3 trending stories and mash them up into one video because they may or may not need a full-length video going into detail about the entire situation. On the docket tonight, we have influencer Jayda Cheaves making a public statement about how the internet is supposed to make you feel insecure and how she's been dealing with that to overcome that. Next, we have Brittany Renner, who is pretty much a polarizing influencer, I would say, basically speaking on how she regrets giving her body away to many different men and some of her realizations that she has had in retrospect of being labeled as fast. And lastly, Lori Harvey clearing up some rumors about herself and actually speaking for the first time in a while. So as y'all know, just number your responses to story number 1, story number 2, and story number 3 down below for organization, and let's talk about this. One last thing, so the reason why I've been giving y'all non-stop content is for a specific reason, and if you want to skip ahead to the video, go ahead, but just real quick, I finally moved out of my parents' house back in November. It has been since late 2020 that I have been living with my parents, so over the last 2 years, me being in this new apartment has basically been the only goal I've had over those 2 years. And it wasn't that I couldn't move out, it's just things just kept happening that were deferring me from getting my own place where I can just have my own office and my own house and work on my videos and just be a consistent content creator. There's nothing like having what you need in your own house, and I'm finally in my own space and feel so much more relieved and more motivated to do YouTube without having any restrictions. So do expect a lot of content from me moving forward because I've literally turned my YouTube into a full-time job now, which is the only goal I've had for like the last 2 years. So that is that. I know y'all want me to get started and are itching to listen in. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. So first up on the docket tonight is Lori Harvey basically clearing up some rumors about her dating life. She sat down for an interview hosted by Adrian Bailon via E! News, and Adrian basically asked her to touch on misconceptions about her. Here's what she had to say.
Now, so many things get written about you in the press, but I've always wanted to know, what is like the biggest misconception about who Lori Harvey is?
It's so funny because I'm so quiet.
Yeah.
There's been so many stories that have been made up about me. Like I've seen stories about me being like fully in love with somebody and we have like this whole relationship, and I'll see the guy and I'm like, I've actually never even met him before.
No.
Like full-blown stories I've heard. I've dated a father and son before.
Not true?
Absolutely not true. And I've even heard that I'm a lesbian at one point. So, you know, there's been a lot of different things.
You're
a
right.
lot of stories, a lot of misconceptions.
Does it entertain you?
Oh, I think they're hilarious. I love the stories. They're very entertaining. I will give them that.
Yeah.
Very entertaining, but I just let it roll off my shoulder.
I love that.
So for a while, people literally have gone with this narrative that Lori Harvey has dated a father and son, that father and son obviously being Diddy and his son Justin Combs. It's actually ironic that this interview came out right after I made my video about it girls, because I spoke on how I think Lori Harvey is a true it girl of this generation at the moment because of one thing in particular, and that is her mystery. I actually don't even know where the rumors came from. I've only ever seen a few pictures of her with Diddy, and they definitely did look flirtatious now that I think about it, but I've actually never seen any photos of her and his son in that light. I think people are still confused as to, did she date Diddy and not his son, or did she date his son and not Diddy? Me personally, I actually kind of believe her just off the strength of she's so quiet, and that's really something kind of crazy to say about somebody, like kind of super salacious to say that she was with both, but I feel like she let people believe what they wanted to believe for so long, which she kind of does anyway, and is just finally clearing it up for a reason. That reason being, Lori Harvey is pretty much famous for dating people, but I don't know how long that reputation is going to last for her, and even if it does last long, how much longer is it going to be seen as a positively perceived thing? I actually want to do a video on how people speak about Asian Doll versus how they speak on Lori Harvey. I'll definitely work on that because I think the perceptions are different. I think Lori Harvey's misconceptions actually do aid to her overall celebrity. Right now, she is dating Damson Idris, which people are here for because he's another attractive, relevant, and desired figure in entertainment. However, I think in the future, and the older that she gets, being that her and I are the same age, you start to like rid yourself of that title. I feel like for a lot of girls who are like under 25, there was a point where being attached to the name or maybe the career of a certain type of man was a little bit more important than it is after 25. If you agree with me, let me know. If you disagree with me, let me know too. But I feel like what Lori Harvey is going to start doing is not attaching herself solely to that perception of all she does is date people who are rich and famous and attractive. I think she's just having fun, but I do think she should start to do, because nothing lasts forever. So although we may see Lori as unproblematic and desired, the older you get, I'm pretty sure every woman wants a perception that is a little bit more worthwhile and a little bit more individualistic to their actual talents or brands or interests or whatever. I do find it ironic that this interview came out and then the very next day she goes public with her new boyfriend, and then the very next day it's her birthday. Definitely have to give her a side eye, but she's very smart and very calculated with media perception. One thing I like about Lori though, she only speaks when she wants to speak, and she only speaks on platforms that will actually give her a good look. Meaning when she does do interviews, they are like syndicated on TV, or they are arranged podcast shows, or it's a special for a certain app, or it's just something where the narrative is about her business or her story, and then of course you find out a little bit of the tea about her. You'll never catch Lori Harvey going live on Instagram to go off on anybody, or taking to Twitter to tweet a whole bunch of aggressive tweets towards her following. She's very poised and very controlled, and I think it's something to admire. I don't know if it's her media training, I don't know if it's just how she was raised, I don't know if it's just her or a mix of all three, but I think the misconceptions that are surrounding Lori Harvey in regards to who she dates, what she's doing, and how she feels is always handled in a way that gives her the most positive outcome possible in comparison to many other influencers, it girls, and social media celebrities. So next up on the docket is Brittany Renner. Brittany Renner is an influencer turned, I guess you can say, polarizing social media figure. Like, I don't really know how to describe her. She's basically an athlete baby mama. We never really talk about the athlete baby mamas, but that's basically what she's most known for. She came up by posting fitness content and garnering a large following back in the day, but she also did it in a way that was to appeal to men lusting after her and women wanting to look like how she looked. Brittany Renner recently did a podcast about she has this newfound epiphany of self-worth and how in retrospect she regrets how frivolous she was about her body in regards to the men that she has let enter her. I titled this segment that she regrets being fast, because if I would have said it any other way, y'all would say I'm misogynistic and that I'm women shaming and all of these things. However, straight from the horse's mouth, Brittany Renner is regretting the same actions that I guess you can say I condemn. Take a look at what she had to say.
Hate how I allowed myself to just be like used up by men. And that came from a lack of self-worth. I did not understand my value that I was born with. I didn't. And I gave, again, people look at sex differently, but sex is spiritual unification. At the end of the day, I don't care how you spin it. It's spiritual.
For women.
Okay,
Yeah,
for
women.
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, for women. It's spiritual unification. And people that I shared my body with, when I think about my list, it's repulsive because they didn't deserve it. But that was an outcome of me discounting my worth. And it's disgusting. I hate even having that spiritual tie in any type of way. But yeah, I would absolutely change sexually how I move around. And not even necessarily because of like the societal outcome. It's more so self-worth.
Like, how it makes you like feel.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good knowing that you gave a sacred part of you to a man that looked at sex with you as taking a piss. It's not fulfilling. It's disgusting to think about. And I feel like I've beat myself up every single day for my decisions. And what people say about me online holds no candle to what I've told myself on a daily basis. Like, I've been called worse by better, and that better being me. Like, I have talked down to myself, and I felt like I was unworthy for a very long time. And I would say this is more of a recent awareness, like in the past year.
So I low-key should have made a separate video about this because I have so many things to say, but I'm just going to say them all in this segment. First, I want to say, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. And I know there's a lot of you that are thinking, Chioma, why are you adding insult to injury? Why are you rubbing it in? Why aren't you being empathetic towards another woman? You want to know why? Because when I'm super honest about this type of perception and some of the imagery that has been prevalent on social media, media within young womanhood over the past few years, what am I called? I'm called a hater, a pick-me, anti-women, misogynistic, a patriarchy perpetrator, male-identified, and all of these derogatory names, when all I'm trying to do is make women understand you usually don't win this game. I just had to let it out. Now, let me get on my real thoughts about Brittany. My perception of Brittany Renner has actually changed for the better as time has progressed, because I think she's actually very smart, I think she's very aware, and I think she's really accountable about things. As polarizing as she may be, she doesn't lie and she's very honest about everything that concerns her, even the most negative things. To hear her use the words repulsive in regards to her body count speaks volumes, because I think there are way too many women in this generation that are downplaying the actions of what they're doing, the men they are involved with, how many men they are involved with, and the perception being what it is due to the men that they are involved with. I recall when I said that if rapper Ruby Rose continues to put out the imagery that she puts out, she's going to get the perception of a cum bucket. And what did people do? Drag me and said that I was harsh, even though I never called her a cum bucket, but I said that that was going to be her perception. Could I have used a better choice of words? Yes. But it's no difference to me saying that somebody is acting fast, or when I said quote unquote compromising imagery in one of my recent videos. I think what's also happening is that Brittany Renner is getting older. She's realizing that there are women who are coming up behind her who have the same appeal and aren't as washed up or used up. And I don't say that to degrade her. I just say that to say there are girls in their early 20s and mid 20s who have a little bit more innocence, or if it's not innocence, it's a little bit more mystery to them than a Brittany Renner who has been around for years. Brittany Renner is like a spin-off of Corinne Steffens. Corinne Steffens wrote that book, Confessions of a Video Vixen, back in the day. I read it a few years ago in college. It was a great book, very interesting. I would highly recommend it. But Brittany Renner also did the same exact thing, basically exposing some of the stories of the men that she's been with and just the way that she's gone about it.
You started dating, and you mentioned that you dated 11 athletes through the course of your life. That may have been an
probably
old quote.
more than that.
Okay.
I mean, I've said publicly that I've had sex with 30 guys. I do have a list in my phone. I could look at the list and tell you how many athletes, but as of right now, I don't know that number off the top of my head. I think I said 8 NBA players, though, I think was the number.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now here is the switch up and the epiphany that you need to go to Tiffany's, that casting that overt sexualism does catch up to you. And that's the only thing I ever try to stress to this generation. But when you say that, it's like you're anti-women. I think women who are deep fried in this overt sexualism era need to understand that there are also women who just don't agree with it. They may not dislike you, or they may not hate you. They may not even be against what you're doing, but they just don't agree with that imagery being so profited from and so prioritized and so immeasurable in popularity to anything else. And people have a right to not want that type of imagery surrounding them without being called a pick-me or anti-women. Furthermore, I think a lot of women are going to have this moment of realization that Brittany Renner is also having. And I think a lot of the social media girls are starting to hit that era where they're realizing being fast or getting with so many different industry men or being revered for being attractive and sexy is not foolproof. And by foolproof, I mean it's not permanent. Just because you were arm candy or dating this athlete or this rapper doesn't mean that you guys are gonna have the happily ever after. And also, just because you were a good girl and don't do these things doesn't mean you're gonna get the happily ever after. Men are gonna be men. And we've seen time and time again that eventually a lot of this catches up to you if you let it be the forefront of who you are. Also, just to say, from my experience and in my opinion, I have never seen a successful hoe. Meaning, I've never seen these girls who are the desired and sought after women to all of these rich and famous men get to the age of like 35 plus, 40 plus, and be successful for being a hoe. At some point, either their relevance dies, they get replaced, or they are like Brittany Renner and they eventually realize, wow, I've spent a lot of time messing up my body, messing up my mental, messing up my reputation, and messing up my spirituality as it relates to sexual intercourse. This generation thinks of sex as just a walk in the park, but soul ties are real. And even if you can easily shake off a soul tie, for women, the way how we approach sex is just different than the way how men do. But you have all of these young women trying to convince other women that they can go about sex in the same way and as casual as a man. And I'm sorry, but I just don't believe that, and I'll just forever not believe it. I'm not saying that women cannot have casual sex, because I do believe that we can. However, I don't think we approach it in the same way that men do when it comes to our bodies and our mental. We have different hormones, different body structures, and we're the ones being penetrated at the end of the day. Even as far as Corinne Steffens, I mean, she still stands in everything that she's done, but but she's now pregnant, and it recently came out that her baby daddy was seen out with another woman at a basketball game, and she exposed them. And I'm just like, although that is messed up, how can you be calling out his side chick when you were the side chick and the other woman for so many marriages back in the day, and you were so unapologetic about it? I've never seen a successful retired hoe, and I'm gonna stand on that. I'm gonna end this segment with an excerpt from Lovely T's live. Shout out to Lovely T, but she says some real words about this topic in her live stream, and I want y'all to hear it.
Same with Brittany. I will say this, okay? I'm glad she's growing, and I think that when people are growing, you know, we gotta give them, you know, a little bit of grace and give them, you know, props for at least growing and recognizing the wrong that she's done. Because like I said, if you didn't know Brittany and if you didn't follow her story, it's easy to get gaslit by her and be like, oh my God, she's changing and so much growth and y'all better stop slut shaming her. Nobody slut shamed Brittany more than Brittany Renner, okay? And this is why for a long time, I would tell girls, be careful who y'all follow and who y'all elevate. Because while y'all are thinking that her lifestyle is winning, once she gets off of social media and she has to look at herself in the mirror, you don't know if that girl is really celebrating or if she's breaking down and crying, okay? And like I said, there's room for different types of women, but understand as women, we're not naturally built like that to just give ourselves to like just any and everybody. That's really not how women are built. I know they're trying to act like it's no big deal, but that's really not how women are built. You know what I'm saying? Men, for the most part, are built like that, even though they create soul ties too. But for women, it can be very, very different. And one thing about Brittany, I think she thought, she just like Amber Rose, they're coming to the realization that you're not going to be 21 to 25 forever. Brittany sees that there's younger girls coming up behind her. All these guys done been with her. Her name is basically sullied throughout the industry. So now here comes the come to Jesus moment, you know? And what she's saying is the truth. And she's saying, well, it's not because of society standards. And that might be true. But she's right that she has created all of these bonds with people who did not deserve her.
And let the church say amen. I know within this segment, it's like it's me being super duper aggressive. However, I think I said I see a lot of this imagery for what it is, and I think it is smoke and mirrors. I'm not gonna hate on how somebody else is per se, but if I disagree with the actions, then I just disagree with the actions. And I think a lot of young women need to be very weary of how they're moving as it relates to this culture. The amount of girls that you see on Instagram bent over with their booty out like they're showing the world how they take nothing but pulsing, piping penis just confuses me, because this is like beyond just being seen as sexy. And I'm all for sexy, and I always have to say that because I feel like people try to act like I'm a prude and I'm a church nun and I'm a sister of the Catholic convent. No, I do enjoy sexy, but I just feel like there's too much of the slutty and the morally compromising things that are overshadowing that in the name of feminism and womanhood. I don't think it serves a long-lasting purpose from my experience and from what I've seen within other women. Within my agency, the Queen Team Models, I probably have worked with over 100 different models since I've started, and I've had girls that quit and started stripping, and then they didn't even last long in that industry because they realized that they are giving away too much of themselves for things that are not mentally fulfilling. And the thing is, I'm not even against people who want to dance. I'll come and tip you, but all I'm saying is take heed to all of these public examples of women who have capitalized off of overt sexualism, and look into the future to see where it's taking them and if it's actually taking them somewhere. So our third and final story on the docket tonight is about Jayda Cheaves. Jayda took to her Instagram story to share an important message about how she deals with social media backlash. So recently, Jayda was featured on the cover of the magazine Grind Pretty. I've never heard of them, but I went and looked them up, and they are Black owned and based out of ATL. So I will definitely say I am here for it. Go check them out. So they had an event to celebrate her, and Jayda ended up posting her look from that event. So Jayda was sporting this velvet green gown and white fur mini coat or shawl, and she was also wearing a blonde wig to go along with her outfit. I liked her overall look, and I thought that she looked a little bit more elegant than she usually does. Now, there were a lot of people who did not like her hair installation because from the images, you can tell that the wig was definitely not as slayed as her hair usually is, and the install didn't look as natural as wigs usually are. So, of course, people came for her, people dragged her, the whole 9 yards. So Jayda had some words for that, and this is what she had to say.
Let me tell you how the internet works. The internet is meant to tear you down. It's meant to make you insecure. It's meant to put fear into you. It's meant to just make you feel little, make you feel small. It puts you in a box. But that's why you always have to be strong-minded. And this is to like all of the girls who be in my messages or on my TikTok, like, I want to be an influencer. Tell me what I need to do to become an influencer. And like, you have to literally be strong-minded when doing this. And I wasn't always strong-minded. I used to like feed off of the internet. So if someone would say something about an outfit that I thought was cute, I'll get on the internet, they talk about my outfit, I would delete the picture. But now, I'm so strong-minded and grounded within myself that if I like something, I'm not gonna let a negative comment steer me away from how I originally felt about something. So you really have to be strong-minded, because the internet is meant to make you feel little. It's meant to make you feel bad about yourself. For instance, I posted my pictures in a blonde wig. The Shade Room posted the pictures. I still look at the pictures. I'm like, oh my God, those pictures are fire. From Getty Images. Getty Images, absolutely no edits. A lace is a lace. My friend who did my hair, she's like, they're dragging me in the comments. I'm like, girl, I loved my hair. I still have on the same wig. It's still in place. I loved my hair. Don't let that shit get to you. These people mean nothing to us in the comments. As long as you know I liked my hair and you liked your work, nothing else matters. Like, you cannot let these people get in your head and disturb how you feel about something. So that's just like my little word of the day, because it gets hard. Like, it's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. They always gonna have something to say. So as long as I feel confident in what I'm posting, and if I like it, nothing else gonna steer me away. So y'all just honestly can give it up. Like, it's not gonna work. I'm sorry. I love myself. Like, I'm really in a space where like I really love myself. Like, nothing, I feel like it's me against the world. Nobody can say nothing to me that's gonna make me feel away. Y'all, in the most humblest way possible.
Now, my question really is, what is going on with this girl? I'm sensing some form of internal imbalance, and I'm not sure what it is. Like, it comes off in a physical standpoint with her looks being different every single time that you see her, but also in a behavioral standpoint, because she has frequently been addressing the internet as well as showcasing herself in a different light than what people are used to. Before I go deeper, I feel like what is happening with Jayda is that she's reached the peak of her relevance, the peak of her desire, and the peak of her mystery, and the peak of her being an it girl. And now here comes the response to her entire brand and her entire entity on social media, where her fan base is realizing that not all that glitters is gold. I think for the longest, people have always looked up to Jayda and really wanted to be Jayda Cheaves, like that song said. But after she did that show, The Impact, and after she opened her mouth, and people really got to see that she's really no different than some of the girls that have the same aesthetic, but maybe not the same following or the same positive perception. And a lot of people withdrew their support. I haven't seen Jayda trending as much as she is now in the past, and I think that is what is getting to her. She's having an epiphany that, honestly, gone are the days where everybody just loves you. Nobody's questioning anything you do or say. Many people have been released from the shackles of the idea of the social media influencer. Hence why I said in my previous video about it girls falling off. A lot of us are or have grown with Jayda. She's the same age as me, so back when we were probably just both 20 and 21 years old, we were in a different life space than where we are now. So as much as I've matured through my mindset and the things that are interesting to me and the things that I put focus on, so has pretty much everyone else that is around the same age range as her who once admired her. Her fan base is getting older and our interests are changing, and our fully developed brain is starting to work, and we're starting to realize that maybe this isn't the pinnacle of success, or maybe this isn't the best thing to admire, because there are so many negative side effects that come with the likes of a Jayda Cheaves. And it's not necessarily her, but it's just her aesthetic and her brands altogether. So many of us no longer care that she was hip-hop relationship goals, because now that the smoke has cleared, we realize that Jayda had been putting up with a lot of dumb stuff for the longest, and that's not what's going to appeal to the young women who don't want to deal with a man and his BS just because they are a rich and famous rapper. So many of us are realizing that the club host things and the sometimes odd fashion choices and the overt sexualism doesn't appeal to us as much, because we've gotten to a point where all of that attention is not always fulfilling, and definitely comes with a lot of compromises. We've gotten to the point where maybe even those who had children around the same time Jayda had her child have kids who are getting older, and there's more focus on the development of our child versus the development of our perception and aesthetic. And a lot of young women are realizing that Jayda Cheaves and Ari Fletcher and Jania Michelle and India Royale and Ella Bands and all of these girls are really no better than the average woman that you see in real life. That boundary between the girls and the who's who's and everybody else has been so blurred over the past few years that their appeal is no longer that mesmerizing. And I think that is directly correlating to why she's been getting a lot of backlash as of late. And I think at the age of 25, people expect her to be a little bit more evolved than she is. And I'm not saying that she's not successful, but I just don't think it's as impressive to the general public of young people as it used to be. Now, I'm gonna go deeper now to speak on exactly what Jayda talked about. So I highly disagree about what she said in regards to the internet is supposed to be a place to tear you down and make you feel bad about yourself and basically ruin your self-esteem. I highly disagree. The internet is definitely not supposed to be that, but that is a side effect of what comes with putting your entire life out for consumption. It's also a side effect too when people, again, realize that what you've been giving them year after year after year isn't as glamorous or as glittery as they once perceived it to be. And it's also a side effect of showcasing your true colors and it not aligning with what people thought you would be like. Like I said, Jayda was recently featured on the show The Impact ATL, and it really did not serve her any favors. Her whole entire perception was that she was weird, she fed too much into an imaginary beef, and she cared too much about what the internet said. And I think all of that was true because although there are going to be people who defend her and say that all of a sudden people are hating on her, one thing that was true and not even her fans can deny was that she cared too much about what the internet had to say. Her whole approach to her and Ari's imaginary beef was stemming from comments and blog posts and headlines that she got from the internet, but not to what was actually occurring in real life. And that turned a lot of people off because I think people assume that because she's been on the internet for so long, she's been able to have discernment and shake off a lot of that social media BS that comes with being an influencer. I feel like even as a YouTube commentator, there are hundreds of comments that disagree with me or that call me names or people who have made videos about me on YouTube that are not too nice. But I've learned that you cannot internalize that backlash because at the end of the day, not only is everyone entitled to their own opinion, but it comes with the territory. But the territory is not meant to put you down and make you feel bad about yourself. The territory is that some people are gonna like you and some people aren't gonna like you. And that goes for real life as well, not just the internet. What I'm getting from Jayda is a false confidence. And I know some people may not agree with this, but I feel like a lot of that stems from her putting up with so much BS from her child's father and their relationship. I watched her interview on Lip Service with Angela Yee. I thought it was a great interview. Jayda looked great. She was well spoken. She answered all of the questions. I watched the entire 1 hour long interview, and one thing I took away is that she cares a lot what people think about her. And to an extent you should, because it is your brand, and when you're a social media influencer, to have a decent reputation that is going to bring you more opportunities and more money, you do have to care. However, it's also something that you cannot internalize. You can acknowledge that it's there. Sometimes you're going to respond to negative things and clear up rumors because we're all humans, but to say that the sole purpose of the internet is to demonize you, that is that victim mentality that Ari was trying to tell her about. Jayda has to act as if she doesn't give a damn and not just tell us that she doesn't give a damn. Addressing every little thing does not read as confidence, and I feel like instead of taking to her story to share that message, she should just make a course. Do what you do, which is sell products and make money off of business. Post a course in Atlanta where people pay to come see you and you talk about your experience being an influencer so that you can showcase to an audience the good, the bad, the ugly, the up, the down, and then some that comes with what you do. To me, that's like the smartest solution. You know what? Maybe I should do that. Would you guys actually come to something like that? Because I haven't done a meet and greet since like 2018, and I feel like it's long overdue for me to have an event for my subscribers, but let me know y'all's thoughts on that. So I think for all of those girls, but specifically Jayda Cheaves, they are realizing that their influence is just not as interesting as it used to be, and that people are divesting from their entire aesthetic, and it's starting to hurt her confidence in everything that she does. In her lip service interview, she talked about how she is really healed right now, and I don't know, I'm just not buying it because I feel like part of being healed is how you move and not what you say. But I want Jayda to find her self-esteem, really do the internal work, and figure out a better way to showcase it to her audience and social media. So that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please let me know your commentary on my commentary down below. What do you think? What do you know? Let me know. Number the stories number 1, 2, and 3 down below in the comment section. If you haven't already, go stream my song Ballin', link down below in the bio. And last lastly, don't forget to follow me on all of my social media networks, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, y'all.
New freestyle to your checklist. Pull it to your block like I play Tetris. Quiet, ho, let me finish my sentence. 10 that they see like I'm from Memphis. Going big like I'm from Texas. Life is being blessed and exit. Made that boy make me his bench press. Now he breathless. Green, white, green when I be reppin'. Nardo wickin' when we steppin'. Dirty niggas I'm rejectin'. Make me teach your ass a lesson. I'ma call him when I need some money. I ain't tryna wait. Mansion in the motherland, bitch. Leave it by the gate. My brother counting money up. My sis driving to get away. It's Queen Chioma trigger, cause you know I make it ricochet. Told y'all it's a ceremony. Every day a cabaret. Get out my way, I'm out the way. They say I'm out the ordinary. All my favorite cousins up, they round the way and on the way. Had to come to auntie house, cause last time I did 20 I said I'ma call him when I need some money. I ain't tryna wait. Mansion in the motherland, bitch. Leave it by the gate. All my favorite cousins up, they round the way and on the way. Had to come to auntie house, cause last time I did 20K, yo.